Okay, so everyone, we shall start the session today. Okay, so we have good enough participants here today with us, and I hope that today's session will help you all a lot in selection of the right team. We will discuss what it takes for a performing and winning team to, uh, you know, win. So basically, how to develop and perform and create that winning team when you are starting your session. So I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, sir.
So guys, you must have heard that you probably would have seen in a lot of Shark Tank kind of programs that how important is it to have a proper team for any kind of startup. It is important that there are different roles to play, and uh, when you have a right team in place, then only it is the growth, the perfect combination of skill sets is something which matters a lot and which plays into the role of making the winning decisions come into play. So today we are going to start and discuss that only, and to understand what are the ingredients to make and form that successful team. About me, a short bio. I have a 13 years of experience in consulting digital transformation with almost 200 plus small and medium businesses within and outside India. And I help people to develop strategies, particularly related to IT, e-commerce, marketing, and automation. So today's workshop objectives are to understand why founding team composition predicts startup success, because it is very important for us to understand what are the key ingredients, what kind of people we are selecting, and what kind of formation of a right team can enable us to win a startup. Then there are certain frameworks for making early hiring decisions. What should be there in our mind, even if it's a one level of startup or there are two people who are starting up, what kind of people you should hire, what decisions should be there when you are hiring somebody, what should be there in your mind to the key things which should be decisive in understanding and to define that what kind of person you should hire. Then the third thing what we're going to understand today is the master equity allocation and founder agreements. What is a master equity allocation, how to allocate equity, who should have how much percentage ownership of the company, what are the basic fundamentals to decide that. This is also very important because when any startup, you know, is on the edge of building up or scaling up, these small decisions are very much critical because when money comes into play, a lot of different things, your opinions, your uh, there can be differences in a lot of areas. So how to avoid that clash, how to identify common team building mistakes, and how to avoid uh, pitfalls, which can lead to disasters between the co-founders. So this is something what we are going to study in today's workshop. So why a founding team matters? There are four critical reasons behind that. The first one is the founding team composition predicts 30% of venture success. So it's not a small number. It's a very big number to understand and to, you know, because which is the reason why if you see any startup, any venture capital who is going to, if you go to any venture capital fund, the people are going to ask the profile of founders. What what is the profile of founders, what kind of people they are, what is the experience they have, what type of skill sets they are carrying. is, are they overlapping with each other? What type of roles do they play in the company? So what is the composition? How the team is composed altogether. What are team founding team members? What are the roles defined for them? So this is something very critical for the venture success, and decides, and it is expectedly it predicts almost 30% of the success of the venture. So the next critical reason is the investors often bet on the team. As I said, that investors, they see you as four co-founders. It is the team, it is the execution of that idea which matters. It's not just the idea. And who is going to execute the idea? The people behind it. So how strong are those people? What is the background of those people? Technical background, sales background, the idea background, the convincing background, the innovation, what they're going to play into, bring into. So who are the people behind that idea who are going to execute that idea? That matters more than the idea in many cases. Then the another reason is complementary skills reduce execution risk. So complementary skills, not the overlapping skills. So in fact, even there are two people, two co-founders who are both from the tech background, but they have a complementary skill sets. Okay, they have a roles where they fit together in a proper way and without overlapping with each other. And they are for each type of decision there is a certain person with a clarity. Okay, so they are complementary skill sets, not overlap skill sets. Then comes the team dynamics. So if again it's one of the same thing, that you should have people with from the different backgrounds, which will impact the company culture, and what kind of backgrounds there, how much role definition is there, what type of people you are hiring, that all will matter. So there are three critical roles to start with. The first role is visionary, you know, the person who set directions, that identifies opportunities, builds investor relationships. In generic term, we call that person as a CEO kind of a person. Okay, the person who although CEO is something which is like a execution officer, chief executive officer, but the execution is not actually the work of the CEO. CEO in today's world mostly is playing a role of somebody uh, who carries the business to the different places, who basically is a marketing head as well in many big companies. So he's a the this particular role is a person who is a visionary, who set directions, who talks about, who is like a mouthpiece of a company. Okay. So he'll talk about the company, he'll identify new business opportunities, he'll build investor relationships. So in general terms, this kind of a person is playing a role of a CEO. Then there's a role of an operator, person who is good with processes, person who drives accountability, person who is executing strategy in the operations level. This is more of a role of a COO, Chief Operations Officer. Okay. So who is that CEO? Who is that COO? You need to understand the skill sets of your team members, and to figure out that who is the CEO kind of a person in our team, who is that COO kind of a person in our team. And the third pillar is the technologist, the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Okay, the guy who builds that product, who manages tech decisions and ensures quality. Okay, so these are three different areas of any business, particularly when we're talking about the IT related business. Okay, so there is a technology officer, the CTO role, the COO role, and the CEO role. There are three founding roles which people have to play. Now, it can be a possibility that two of these roles are played by one person and one role is played by other person. So there can be one person who is a CEO and CEO both, and the other person is the CTO. It is normally in the founding team, you can find such patterns. But these are the three critical roles which need to be played. And very few of the cases you can see even one person playing all the three critical roles. Okay, but mostly it is better that we have somebody who is playing one of the roles, and I mean three people playing all the three roles, or maybe two people playing these three roles, because uh, you know as the product will grow, your division of work, your roles, your responsibilities will keep growing. Okay, so initially you one person may be playing all the three roles, but as you will keep developing the product, keep growing the business, you will end up having more people playing these roles, at least one or two, or maybe more than that. Guys, please do keep me asking questions, and wherever you feel so, kindly raise your hands, and I will be explaining your answering your question queries. The next thing is aligning goals and motivation. So, when you are founding, when you are searching for a co-founder or somebody who is a founding member in your startup, you need to align goals and your you need to align your motivation as well. What drives somebody? What is the driving factor? Is it the idea that person is aligned with you on? Is it the impact which your business is going to create or your idea is going to create? There can be you probably can be thinking of a business idea which is related to the sustainable business development, where you are offering sustainable solutions for better earth. Okay, might be that is something which can drive somebody, that yeah, we are doing something good for this planet. It can be a money driven motivation. It can be a motivation which is like which will be like behind the idea, that somebody is feeding the idea, you two people have that same idea and to grow, see that growing. So there can be different motivations and driving forces, but these driving forces and motivations should be aligned for both of the founders or for all the founders. Then their legacy builders stay longer, wealth seekers exit earlier. This is very important line. Legacy builders stay longer and wealth seekers exit earlier. So what kind of person you are founding, starting your startup? Is it a person who is more towards money driven motivation, so you can understand that that kind of a person will take an exit earlier? So you may have, so that is the kind of a person who is more of a angel investor, not a partner, as in like a co-founder. So that is something which is important from an understanding level, because whether your founding partner is going to stay with you for a longer time, take right decisions with you, and keep growing with the company. Is he a legacy builder? And this is, you can see in most of the companies, only two or three out of two or three founder members, only one probably remains till the end of the company. Okay. And a lot of people take exit. Most of the founders take exit because they were the founders who were driven by different aspects, probably by money, probably by some exit idea, or to increase their wealth. But the core idea, the people who remain with the core idea remain in the company as the co-founders, because they are very glued to that thing, because uh, any founder, any startup is like their baby, of the person who has that idea and who has worked on that idea from day one. So it is always better to have people who are more aligned to your goals and motivations instead of just money. The third point is mixed motivations create conflict and reduce focus. Now, if the motivations are not aligned, what's going to happen? Somebody is after money, he will be more, always seeking some kind of a venture capital or big money to push in so that the person can take exit. While you probably are not in a right stage of scaling up. Okay. Or maybe you can grow that business using the bootstrap. But because the motivations are different, the conflicts can arise, and that will reduce focus. That will reduce the focus of the person, the co-founders, and you will have to, there are a lot of examples I know where two people started, one just left the slowly because the motivation was different. He got uh, a good job. Slowly, the focus and the time devotions started becoming less, and only one person left to handle everything. And what happens in those cases that because the workload, the different things are there, ultimately the whole startup is lost. So the mixed motivation, if the motivation factors are different, they are not aligned, then again, it's a very complicated issue and very important thing to be noted down. Because that is something, if it is not aligned together, then you probably will see the conflicts happening between you two or three. The next point is document and discuss motivations during founder discussions. So this is important that you note down what you may have a cup of coffee together, sit together, have different multiple sessions, understand each other in a better way so that you can take decisions. You know that all people are bounded with same and similar motivation, and you have similar goals to achieve. Coming to the next slide, what are the essential founder agreements? What are the typical things whenever you are searching for a founder, you should be looking forward to? And what are the, you all should be on a common ground for those things. So there are certain few elements, few things on which all the founders should find a common ground. They all should be having the similar number of decision making, same decision making for at least few of these, all of these things. So the first thing is decision making authority and voting rights. So it should be clear among all of them that who all will have the decision making authority and in what areas, and who all have the voting rights for it. Now, different areas for different things, there can be different person who will be the decision making authority. That is fine. Somebody can be made up as a decision making authority for tech. One can be a decision making authority for marketing or sales, and the one can be for the operations. These can be aligned with the roles as well. Okay, but it should be clear that who all can vote and who will be the decision making authority. Vesting schedules typically 4 years with 1 year cliff. Now, vesting schedules, what does that means? That what will be the schedule of when you're starting up a business, for how much time you're going to put into the efforts that all are agreed to, that what will be the typical client time for that business. Okay, how much time is going to be vested in that. So that should be clear, that who is putting up how much time. It's not a job for one person. If there are four founding members, one is will keep working and other three will not be able to devote that much time. It is not right. And any venture capital firm or any VC can easily figure that out. And because they are also there to make money, the first thing they will ask is to make, to ask those people to take an exit because they are not contributing anything. And it is better that, you have people who are contributing, because then their interest will also be vested into the company, and any venture firm will cannot, if there are more founding partners who remain there in the company, then even the external VC firm cannot take over your company in a long run. So that is also something important to have. Exit clauses and what happens if scenarios should also be very much clear between the as an essential document between the founders. That what will happen if somebody wants to take exit, how they can take exit, what will be the share allocation. So the share allocation should be very much clear. If somebody is taking exit, then he or she should get certain uh, percentage share back, or whether they will get something out or not, that should be very much clear. Then comes the roles and responsibilities and compensation structure, that who will play what role, what will be the responsibility of the person, whether any compensation will be there or not. If it will be there, then what will be that compensation? All of this structure should be. So these are some basic things which are and should be clear as a co-founders of for any startup. The role of early hires. Early hires means the people who have been hired, when the startup is their small company is very small, maybe one or two people are only there. So what kind of people you should choose and what are the rules? Okay. So the role of early hires is to force multipliers for small teams. Early hires, they should be a force which become the multiplier for small teams. A force which will be the cultural foundation setters, force wearing multiple hats. So you need person who can, first of all, who can wear multiple hats, because when the teams are small, when when there is only one or two people, you have to play multiple roles. Okay. So there should be somebody who can wear multiple hats, as in the person can play multiple roles in the organization. The person should be able to, cultural foundation setters. So the people who are early hires, they set the culture of the company as well. Whether you can see what kind of a company it is, how professional they are, what type of ethics they follow. If the workforce is easy to go, they don't respond, so how good are their communications? These are all decided by people who are the early hires, and they are the cultural foundation setters as well. And they're the force multiplier, as in and they are the people who are like, so when you are hiring people who are like the early hires, or choose people who can easily adapt things. Okay, they should be early adapters. They can jump from one role to other role. They should be ready for jumping. They should be uh, force multipliers for small teams, means that they're the people who believe in getting things done and getting things delivered. Okay. So that should be the approach of people whom you're hiring in the initial stage, because they are going to be the founding, uh, they are going to multiply your team. So tomorrow, if more operations and more of marketing and more of sales or more of tech is required, these are the people below the leg of all the department is going to work. So they are the leads of your company. Okay. And what one should look for: generalist over specialist. So when you're hiring somebody very initial stage, okay, look for generalists, people who can wear multiple hats, self-starters and problem solvers, people who are self-motivated, people who believe in getting things done approach, GTD approach, people who are problem solvers, not the people who are coming to you for each and every small thing. Adaptability and learning mindset. So the people who are adaptable more, people who are fine and they can learn things easily and in a very faster way. So that kind of a mindset is required for early hires. The next slide talks about when to hire managers. Okay, so when we should hire a manager, as in when the team is growing, you need to hire people, how to make somebody as a manager, and then there are a lot of people to the operations are growing. You need someone who can manage those operations efficiently and effectively. So the first manager, when you will hire a first manager, is when the founders cannot handle all people decisions. So typically, when you have 7 to 10 people, you have to manage their workload, whether they are properly assigned on different jobs, everything is in flowing properly. That is a time when you need manager because uh, manage so many people, at least 7 to 10 people, you need to give time for different things. And one person alone or two-person alone cannot do that thing because you already have your job as in already have your roles defined on which you are working. But to have a communication between the team for interoperations, between the team, that operability between the team, and to manage the team effectively, you need somebody who's good in managing people. So you need a manager for that. And the common expertise you will look for that manager will be, of course, a domain expertise. So if you're hiring manager for a particular type of a team, let's say a technical team or a sales team, then the person should have that sales expertise or technical expertise. Then the next thing is people skills. The person should be able to talk to people. He should be good with people. He should be good with bonding, creating that bond among the people and with the team. And a cultural fit. So you cannot have a person from absolutely different location like somebody from Europe uh, become the first manager of an Indian team where there are all Keralites or people like that. So there cannot be a cultural misfit because if you are creating that cultural misfit, it will be very difficult for a manager to intrinsically understand the qualities of people. And people will show his team members will also not be very much comfortable with the manager in terms of because and there will always be some gap because the cultural fit gap is there. The next point is bootstrap reality, which definitely means that early leaders must wear multiple hats. So one of the possibility is that you act as the first manager yourself. So you may be somebody who is good in managing people, and if you are the person who believe that yes, you can manage that hat of a first manager even when the team is big enough for 7 to 10 people, then you're the best person who can fit that role. And a common mistake which is being done is hiring experienced exits too early. What does this mean? In general, it is said that one should hire experienced people, but experienced people also bring their own experience of working in large enterprises as well, or maybe even a small enterprise which but quite larger than yours. So what will happen, I'll tell you a case study where it is normally told that you know a company hired somebody from Coca-Cola as their marketing head, and this was a small startup company, not very small but with a decent you can say uh, level of growth, somewhere around 100 to 200 crores in revenue. Uh, uh, but what happened that the person was hired on a very uh, senior level as a VP of marketing. Now this is still a startup in terms of revenue, uh, but a startup I'm talking about. and he was asked to create a business plan. For a company with a revenue of 200 crores, the person developed a business plan of 7 to 800 crores. Business plan as in the marketing plan. So when he was asked that, he was told clearly that there is no possibility that, with such revenue model, they can spend so much. But the problem was this, that that person had no idea on how to make a smaller plan for such a small startup because he never did. So in experience, hiring an experienced person has its own, negatives as well. So you need to understand that it's more about having the right fit and right experience to come into play. It is not always, that true that having hiring a highly experienced person will be a good decision for you, because a highly experienced person, maybe he has worked with teams with the sizes of 50 to 100 people below him, and he will be expecting that kind of a labor and comfort for him to work, but which in a small teams is not possible. So that is something which is a very common mistake to do, and we should avoid it. Any questions till now? Any questions from anyone? No? Okay. Now the next thing is finding technical resources. So there are different phases, and we'll talk about, different phases has different types of requirement of resources. So the starting phase, which is also called as a bootstrap phase. And when you're in bootstrap phase, you probably should look for resources like freelancers. You should look for no code tools. You should look for outsourced development so that there is no direct cost involved. There is no direct cost involved in terms of a regular salary to be paid at your end. So you know what will be the delivery and what you are going to pay for the delivery. And you have least management cost attached to you as well. So when you are in bootstrap phase, it is always suggested that you should go for freelancers, no code tools, or outsource the development. Then there's another phase is first technical hire. And when you are doing your first technical hiring, the most important thing is to look for a developer who has or who understands your vision. Rather than somebody who understands the code, it is more important to understand the person should have an understanding of your vision and have that clarity on how he can pitch in or put his efforts to achieve that vision. So that is something which is more important and should be taken off as the most important factor when you are hiring a first technical person. Then, how to decide between whether you should build it or should buy it. So, a very direct answer to take this decision is time to market. If so, just think from this perspective that if you are going to build that solution, how much time it will take, whether that decision is going to reduce your time to market or increase your time to market. Okay. So, and whether the time to market is also more important rather than a perfect architecture is also a question in itself. So, first thing is, what is more important, a perfect architecture or a perfect time to market? So, in these two, if you have a clarity of answer, then you can easily take a clarity of answer that whether you want to build it as in get the whole solution built by yourself by hiring somebody, or you want to buy a already present solution which is already there in the market and you just want to customize it. The next thing is network leverage, which is very important thing. And what does that mean is that you can You should use your network of alumni connections, your network of any. You can go and join different uh, business networks, business meetings, something like a BNI. Okay, so there are a lot of business networks which actively participate, keep on having their events. Go, uh, just take subscription or participation into these networks and start meeting people. You'll get, you may get somebody who can be the right founding partner for the business from these networks. Now the next part is very interesting. As you know, you probably have met somebody who is ready to work with you as a co-founder, and you you both have similar vision for the product, and everything seems very rosy. But when it comes to have a division of equity, how you should divide it? Okay, how the equity allocation should be done. So the key principle about this is who is going to put how much money and effort. So first of all, vesting protects all parties. So everyone should have a clear vested interest. Means first of all, they should vest something like time or money into the product or proposal or the business which is there. Second thing is equal versus proportional or contribution versus vision trade-offs. So who is putting off how much of efforts? What is the total trade-off somebody is giving? What is the vision trade-off is something different. But okay, I have a vision, but that vision of is of no use until the execution is done. So I need to have that trade-off, that negotiation with the equity partner that, if I have to do this, I can, I'm ready to allocate this much of equity. Now the other person can ask you why this, why not this, or they can negotiate. That completely depends on a lot of factors of how you are going to convince the people around you. You can have equal, you can have proportional, you can say that, okay, and if it is proportional, then it is proportional to distribute contribution as well. How much contribution is that person is going to make? The next thing is bootstrap equity is the cheapest currency. So if we have discussed this earlier as well, the bootstrap equity means the equity which you can take from your friends and family is the cheapest currency. Why? Because that is something, you're not taking up a loan for that. You are not, uh, you don't have to worry about paying back early, or there is no higher interest as I aligned to it. Okay, so that is something which, uh, if you have that access to the bootstrap equity, it is a goal for you, because otherwise you are not sharing the ownership of your company. And even then, even in without sharing the ownership of your company, you are getting access to the operating cost, the funds, which is going to be which is basically the cheapest way of having access to the funds. The next thing is reserve a 10 to 20% of option pools for future employees. Now, what is option pools means? If you have a small team and you want to hire people who are diligent, who are very hardworking, somewhat senior in, then besides money, what you are ready to pay to them, besides the that vision, there's one more thing which can bind them with your business for a longer time, which is offering them options. So options is something like, creating a share certificate of your company, which will be active in future only. let's say you so what you can do is you can hire somebody who is really good in his skill sets, and you can tell that person that, yeah, I really would like to be part of this company, and I'm writing off a share guarantee for you, uh, and as a result, options pool of, let's say, 2% of the company's equity once you are there after 5 years of your service to the company, something like that. And you should always have the total equity of 20%, 10 to 20% of the equity of the company. You should be ready to divide it for such people, because they're the people who are going to take a company ahead. Any questions?
Yes, sir. I want to ask some questions related to my venture.
Yeah.
या सर मैं पिछले 2 साल से अपने स्टार्टअप पे काम कर रहा था। नाउ
जी।
सर अब हम लोग मार्च में अपना प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करने वाले हैं। तो उसके लिए एक्सिक्यूशन के लिए हम लोग मेरे को टीम की ज़रूरत थी ताकि मैं अच्छे से एक्सिक्यूट कर सकूं। सर तो मैंने 10 लोगों को अपने जहाँ पे लॉन्च करने वाला हूँ वहाँ पे मैंने अपने 10 लोगों को एज ए फाउंडिंग टीम मेंबर रिप्रेजेंट करके उन लोगों को लाया ताकि हमारे साथ वो काम कर सके। साथ में सर वो लोग कैपिटल भी कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं। तो सर मेरा आस्क ये है कि मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि मैं उनको इक्विटी के कैसे दूं या फिर क्या ऐसा करूं कि ताकि उनका भी मोटिवेशन बना रहे कि अगर मेरी कंपनी के साथ वो काम करेंगे तो वो ग्रोथ करेंगे और अच्छे से काम भी कर सके और पूरे मोटिवेशन के साथ जो भी काम हो वो कर सके। सर उनको क्या इक्विटी डाइल्यूट करना चाहिए या फिर कुछ ऐसा क्या करना चाहिए एज ए फाउंडर?
देखिए, फाउंडर का तो मतलब ही है कि कुछ वो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं। ओके। And if someone is contributing something, they are not going to, you are doing a business, not a social work. Okay.
ओके सर।
And when it comes to a business, if somebody is doing a social work, then he is not ready with the, to become a founder.
ओके।
So if somebody is absolutely on, with you, first of all, we will have to go back and see what we discussed earlier. What are the traits of a founder? The founder should be aligned with your goals and should be with your motivation. What motivates you should motivate your co-founders. Having 10 co-founders is something which is a very big number, which I believe that you have picked those 10 people as a co-founder just because you wanted that equity to be, that uh, if only that can only be a possible case when you need money to start or to survive that thing. Okay. Otherwise, if the role assignment is clear, so you may have all the 10 people with different roles. If that is the case, very good. If not, then you need to be very much clear about the roles and responsibilities of those 10 people.
हम्म।
Those 10 people can only be called as co-founders when they are, besides the roles and responsibilities, they are also aligned with you on the common goal and motivations, and they all agree to that.
ओके। Yes, sir. I
Once
have
they,
already segregate the role. Like my venture is we are going to sell the sugarcane juice in a hygienic form and organized form. So I have
Hmm.
already segregate like who will sell the juice, who will operate the kiosk, who will manage the supply chain, who will do the marketing for uh, our company. So I have already segregate. So
In that case, what you need to do is you need to discuss this, that what is, if the role definition is there, uh, what you need to do is in the next step is to do create the equity plan for a company where
yeah.
you need to propose, okay,
Okay.
where you need to
Okay.
propose that, okay, this is, let's say, I don't know whether you have opened a private limited company or an LLP, what is the formation, but
Okay.
what you are suggesting, I believe that still the legal formation is not done yet. Okay. because in the
Mm-hmm.
legal formation you have to define the percent equity rules. So
Yeah. Okay.
that percentage equity rule needs to be defined, and you can propose one thing, and
Yeah.
based on your understanding that okay, it was my idea, and you have worked on that idea, corrected all of them, so it can be
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And I'm just uh, suggesting it can be an equal split, what you can see on the screen. Okay. It is
Mm-hmm.
a, or you can have a proportional based on who owns the idea and who bought funding,
Mm-hmm.
and and who is playing what critical role in the company. Okay, so based on all of these decisions, it's not a very straightforward decision, but you can say that okay, I bought an idea, so I propose, not I have this, so you can propose that you own for 50%, and rest 50% can be designated for the execution of the idea among the different partners.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
that
sir.
is one of the ways of doing it. Okay,
Okay.
but the common ground has to be taken by all of you as a co-founders in that case.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, so that is something which all may agree, may have different approaches, but you should take a common ground on this and take these all. If you have to, pursue this, take this into a black and white by forming a proper company around it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
as an LLP
Okay.
with a limited liability company, and with the clear mention of the equity shares of the people involved.
Okay, sir.
So that will keep them motivated as well, because they can see, okay, this is not something just you said something and they are working just on blind words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay. Got it.
so you propose the idea, ask them, tell them, sit on a coffee with all of them, and then you get into common agreement with all of them, and based on that common agreement, you can have your once that common agreement is reached, then you can tell people, okay, let's create a legal document around it.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Okay.
Got it, sir. Got it. Sir, I want to ask some more questions. Like, if I will split more equity to our teams, then if any angel investors or any investor is coming in our coming to invest in our company in future, then what happen at that time? Like, if I have diluted more equity, then will he invest or not?
See,
What kind of mindset?
that depends on a lot of things. Okay. And so basically, when somebody brings investment, they will do in the basis of your possible revenues, your
Okay.
what is the valuation of the company. Based on that valuation, whenever somebody put an equity, so they take an equity and they dilute the equity of the current members. Someone can say, okay, this is the total revenue, so the percentage will go low, and that will be the decision of all the co-founders altogether.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sir,
that's a complex
one more question.
calculation, but yeah, you can have a somebody
Okay.
can invest. So as you can see
Hmm.
that your if your valuation becomes 10 crore, and somebody you want a 3 crore of funding, which of course is not going to happen. Like nobody pays you 3 crores in one shot. They pay you in
Hmm.
trenches. Okay,
Okay.
in let's say in
Okay,
two
sir.
years or 3 years, they will pay you 3 CR. But then you can say that okay, we need 3 crores of capital, but uh, we are ready to shell off, let's say, only 1% of equity or 10% of equity.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so if you're
Okay, sir.
asking 3 crores for 10%,
Huh.
which means that you are saying that the valuation of your company is 30 crores.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Right, right.
Okay. So it's a simple
Hmm.
thing like that. So in that 3%, definitely, if you're giving 3%, then you have to empty 97% as well. Okay,
Yeah, sir.
you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to create that 3%. Okay,
Hmm.
and the rest
Hmm.
of the adjustments of the, so the 100 will become 97. Okay,
Hmm.
so as per
Hmm.
the voting rights, all of you will get instead of that 100%. So 97 divided. So each of you will be getting a 9.7% as a stake instead of 10%.
Okay, sir. Okay, okay.
Okay, so that
Yes,
is
sir.
how it works. A little bit a bit of a complex calculation in terms of that, but mota mota, this is how it works. Okay.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, sir.
Few of the common mistakes to be avoided are, you know, as I said, that hiring friends or people without clear agreements, without clear
Hmm.
roles and responsibilities, without uh, clearly telling that okay, you are part of this company, but you need to do this. This is a clear responsibility. Because if and the goals needs to be very much aligned. That thought process, that vision of about what you're going to achieve from that particular business should be very much aligned between all the co-founders. Because if that alignment is not there, then the conflict is definitely going to happen. What is the vesting schedule? If there is no vesting schedule, if there is no clarity about who is going to do what, who is bringing how much money, and how the equity and shares are divided, then because if nothing is on the black and white, then one single person will be having full equity, and that is going to be creating a problem again. Why? Because then people will just start thinking, okay, this is the only person, we have nothing in hand, why we should work. So that is something very important, as you said, Aniket, that there needs to be, you need to give that feeling of ownership to your
Yeah, sir.
co-founders, to the members
Yeah.
who are the base of the company. So that feel of
Okay.
ownership can only be there when it is completely written, properly defined in black and white. Unclear roles leads to duplication and accountability gaps. You know, so the role definition has to be very much clear. Who is going to do what? There should be no overlap so that the decision making is also very much clear, and there's an accountability for each thing. Misaligned motivations. Okay, so motivation, again, the goal and motivation should be aligned properly so that everyone knows that what are the priorities, what they are working for, and what is the bigger picture, bigger thing they are going to achieve on the last scale. So the next thing is pre-launch founder checklist. So when you're about to launch, you need to discuss between your co-founders, and you all need to be in agreement about all these things. Discuss the motivations, your exit plans, and long-term vision about the company and its goals. Create a document role of for roles and responsibilities and decision authority. Who is going to play what role? What will be the responsibilities, and who is the decision authority for which area? Create a document for it. Write it down. Make sure that each of your members have that clarity. Create a founders agreement with vesting schedules. A founder agreement with vesting schedule. Okay, which is something what I said, that a copy of complete AOA, MOA articles. Create a whole LLP of black and white entity with detailed thing that who is owning what. Define equity split and option pool allocation. Define your complete allocation of equity split, that what you're going to do, who owns how much percentage of equity in the company. So there is a small exercise which you all can do. Give me a minute, please. Just give me a minute for a water break. Till the time you can just see the exercise, and I'll share my screen. Okay. So you can do this small exercise within your current team with a group of 3 or 4 people. Uh, just design your ideal founding team for your startup idea. And how you can do that? Just write down the name of all the people, you know, and in different rows, and in the columns next to the name. In the first column, you can write the role. Second column is their strength, the skill sets. Third column is why those roles and skill sets matter. And then you have to define whether this particular role and skill set, this is non-negotiable. These skills are non-negotiable skills, means that in any case you need these skills to make this business survive. They are like essential skills for this business. Without that, you cannot uh, move ahead in the current scenario of the business. So, sales and marketing probably can be uh, taken up as a negotiable skill sets. They can be, you may have different people for that, or you may think of hiring people for that. But let's say if you are a development company, then somebody who has that expertise about that particular code, or who has developed that module and worked with you, and you need that CTO type of a person. So that is something, which is a non-negotiable skill. You can't work without that. And then there is a learnable skill which you or your friend or your partner can learn. But that's something which is negotiable, as in that there are a lot of founders who make them better, and they become they learn the art of sales when the company grows slowly. So you may not have all the skill sets from the sales perspective and the marketing perspective, but you have the clarity about what you're going to do. So define the thing, you list down the skills which are non-negotiable, and these are the skills which will help you to understand whether you need that person as a hiree. I mean that you whether you have to hire that person, or you need to make that person as a co-founder. So it's a very big decision. Okay, you probably need somebody for a certain job. That doesn't mean that you have to take that person as a co-founder or only. Okay, so the co-founder position is a position for a person where that skill set is non-negotiable. That is important. Besides the role, the strength, the skill sets, that skills set has to be non-negotiable skill set. That without which the company cannot survive, the whole idea will die. So, because if that is the skill set without which the idea will die, company cannot survive even tomorrow as well, or day after tomorrow, and in the future. So you always need that person. Then there's another exercise which can help you to allocate equity. And to do that, Justify your split model. Whether you want to have an equal equity, you probably can be, if you have a team of 2 3 people, where all of 2 3 co-founders are coming from similar or certain different, even different backgrounds, but they have key responsibilities to play, and the roles and everything is very much clear. So you probably can think about an equal split model in general, which also works between friends where, or same classmates who are going and developing a certain idea. But you can also have a proportional model. Proportional model is something where you are setting up a proportion. Let's say one of the person was having an idea, and then he shared that, okay, I have this great idea, but I need people to work on it. Will you be ready to work on it? Then the person can say, okay, because I own the idea, I know how to work on it, what needs to be done. I'm putting up an effort of 50. I need an equity of 50%. I propose an equity of 50%, and then the rest 50% equally get divided into you all. This is just a formulation which can work. Okay. And the setting the vesting schedule. So vesting schedules, as in, you first, uh, initially we'll have to put in 10,000 each. Then after 6 months, we will require to put in 50,000. So there should be vested schedules. Uh, should be very much clear that how much one is ready to put in and when they will put in that money and efforts. And you also should be, have a very, if you cannot make a very clear exit plan, but somewhat a draft of an exit plan, that what will happen if someone want to leave, leaves, or want to leave after 2 years, or someone wishes to leave with, let's say, in 6 months. So that picture should also be clear. Okay, of course, if someone, you can say that, if you're leaving, going, somebody is going to leave within 6 months, there is no uh, return on equity we can promise, and probably, maybe we cannot give back anything. But if somebody yeah, if somebody wants to take an exit after 2 years, we you can plan and you can offer something lucrative, so that people stay, and people don't take happy decisions. People just don't quit in 6 months. So these are possible ways of distributing equity and creating uh, a team which stays together for a longer time. Now, co-founders are different than hires. Now, let's say you are a co-founding team of 1 or 2 people, but you need somebody who can take care of operations, maybe, or someone you have to hire. Now, what kind of person you should hire? What should be some traits, some key things about those people who are your first hirees, who are your first hires. So let's say the first 5 employees of yours, they should be generalists with startup mentality. Like, and what is a startup mentality? That they should be self-motivated, self-going, people who comes back to you with a solution, not just uh, you know feedback. There can be a one person who, you can find people who give you feedback onto it. Okay, you have assigned some task to them, and they'll come after a day. So I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And then there are people who probably won't be knowing how to do it, but they'll find it out and they will figure it out and they will get it done. So they are the people who are the right choice. So your first 5 employees, at least first five, should be the people who are generalists, who can wear any different cap on their head, and who can easily adapt different, work culture, ideas, people who are good going with the people as well. who are team binders, who are people who can, keep the whole team live, active, going, and uh, you know, pushing them, pushing the rest of the team members to so that the things get done. So these are the people who makes the first five employees should be the first five hires you should. These type of people should be your first five hires at least. Then comes the bootstrap reality that contractors before full-time employees. This is very important because if you from the day when whether you are uh, it is important to understand that should you get the product manufactured in-house, because to do that you probably would require the complete manufacturing facility. In terms of the software, you need a complete set of people, engineers, full-time employees, but you probably can outsource that product. You can get a product, or you probably can outsource the software development or a module development to some agency. Or if it is a physical product, you can outsource that physical product development to a particular manufacturing company which is good with certain technologies, and so that you will get a standard output from that. Of course, whenever you are outsourcing, please note that you get the proper agreements done for the technology, for the product development, and the agreements should clearly say and tell that you own the proper rights of that, what all rights you own for that particular product, and you the IPR, the intellectual property rights for the development, or maybe in any kind of if any future patents have to be filed, that will be in your name. That all information has to be very much clear in terms of contracts whenever you are outsourcing. But it is always better to have a contractual agreement with a company where which can deliver the results, instead of hiring full-time employees, because you will eventually end up paying for the salaries but probably not getting the work done. Now, equity for early hires. As I said, that in case if you're hiring early, the people, the journalists, the people who believe in getting work done, you don't get such people easily, and such people uh, can only stick to you as a small company because they can be easily hired by other companies as well, and they also will keep on looking for their own personal growth. So if and for startups, the early years are not so great. So how you're going to, keep such people stick to your company is by, you know, allotting an equity for such early hires, which can range from 0.5% to 3%, uh, depending upon the key role that person is playing. And you can define that, how, after how much uh, years of service that can be encashed. So you may say that, okay, I'm giving we are allotting you a 3% option futures for any particular person, which will be active after 5 years of your service to the company. Okay. So something like this you can plan, you can tell the people when you're hiring. And of course, the early hires, the first hires, they set the tone of everything in the company, the culture of your company. So whether your company is, a company which gets the things done, uh, or it's a lethargic company, or the type of culture which is there will depend upon what type of early hires the company has. Hiring on a bootstrap budget is something which means that you should always look for hires where equity you can offer equity incentive, because anyone who has good experience and skill sets will come for a cost. Okay. And that cost probably you are not ready to pay initially, so you can offer an incentive, equity incentive in the company, and you can give a lower ongoing salary. You can offer flexible work times, mission driven appeal instead of 9 to 5 typical job hours. So this is something which you can always ask, which are related to the cost as well. And you can also hire people with where you don't have to put a lot of investments. You can see the college network and hire interns. You can hire freelance. You can go to the freelance platforms where you can hire freelancers for the less cost, not exactly the no cost. Of course, when you say the no cost, it means the you're not paying anyone to hire. Okay, that is why the no cost thing is heading is there. And then the no code tools are there, which can also be helpful in case if you have to develop something today. Let's go through a case study of founder disputes. So let's see a problem. There are two co-founders, and there is no agreement on equity or roles. What may happen here is that one prioritizes profitability and other wants venture funding. So the motivations are misaligned. Their goals are misaligned. And because the goals are misaligned, what will happen? There can be a conflict after 18 months. 18 months is just a typical number. It can happen after 6 months as well. Because the one of the person is totally focused on profitability and he wants to keep the business growing with the money of the business itself. And the other person will see it as, that, okay, we have reached profitability. Let's now bring heavy money into the company. And he's ready to dilute his ownership in the company, but the other is not ready to dilute his ownership. He still wants to have a full 50% control. So that can be they are two different motivations, and you should be open with your co-founders when it comes to what kind of a vision you have in terms of growing that company and how you will grow that company. What is the vesting path schedule you think for the company, so that everyone in the company is clear as a co-founder is clear about uh, what what they can expect after certain time happening in the company. So have a proper agreement, and if you have a black and white agreement on paper with all the people, that will prevent 90% of disputes, because first of all that paper will make it very much clear that who is doing what all role is playing by what person. And by signing that paper, everything is on the common ground that okay, and they are clear about what role they have to play. Now there are some red flags as well, which define that what can be the possible reasons when the team will fail. First of them is founders avoid difficult conversations. So as I said that conversations among founders is very very important, because if there's a team and they are not communicating things among each other with clarity, with complete conscience, then it is a problem, and this will definitely will lead to ego clashes, to a lot of problems which are unforeseen. We as humans, we all have some something which we cannot miss, in terms of which we always have in back of our mind, that okay, so he decided that by his own, this decision is not right. So which is why it is difficult enough in a lot of situations. But if that things are clearly on paper, that the role definition is properly happening in the company, you all are agreeing to and you are communicating with each other as well. So there can be a possibility that you are feeling wrong about something, but you are not communicating that thing to the co-founder, and he will not be able to understand that why you are reacting in a particular wrong way, and that can lead to certain differences between the two people. And once the psychological differences arises, even if the goals and all are right for the uh, are same for the particular company, people cannot work together. So that basically leads to the failure of the whole startup. The second point is decision making paralyzed by consensus pressure. Decision making whenever is happening should not have an impact of consensus pressure. या दोस्त बोल रहा है, सब लोग बोल रहे हैं ऐसा होना चाहिए, okay, let's do this. That cannot play a role of any decision. If a decision making has to happen, that should have a solid backing of the reason. The reasoning needs to be clear, not under the consensus pressure. The third point is unclear accountability of for failures. If any failure is happening, if anything particular is happening where which is leading to, let's say, loss of clients or loss of revenue, then it should be accountable. There has to be clear accountability of who is responsible for it, and the person should take that responsibility. And the another point, the last point, is the compensation equity dissatisfaction. This is very important because if you will not have clear responsibilities, if you will not have clear execution duties from the day one, or at least from the legal formation, then this issue will keep coming back. So there has to be a proper compensation equity where the satisfaction is there from the day one, and we stick to it. And whenever there is a restructuring of the roles and responsibilities happening. So there may be a possibility that after 6 months you may see that okay, out of 10 people, four are not working at all. They have their own commitments and all. So you can request them to, okay, yeah, because you are not putting up anything back as an input. You can just dilute your share, transfer it to back to the company, and then company can distribute that evenly to all of the players, also the people. Okay. And then this will lead to a higher equity percentage for the people who are actually working. Okay. So that this will release and the possibility of dissatisfaction, which will be growing up among people who are working because and thinking that there are other people who are not working. So why should I should work? Or, and even when they are getting the same amount of money without working. So this is something which is very important and should be taken care of at the right time. Sorry. Okay. Now, next part of the building team is the culture of the team. Okay. And that culture, that definition of a culture, that what type of team it is, what type of people, what type of company it is, should be defined in early stages itself. What type of company it is. Okay. Because, and what type of company means that the culture should be very much open. People should be very much clear about, transparency should be part of the culture. When something is happening, people are sharing their thoughts, people are sharing their views, opinions within the team. And you as a top leader should be the person who should be asking the feedback from, and who has to make sure that you are getting that feedback from even the bottom of most of the leg of the company. So that is something which all of us should be very much clear about. And that can only happen when the transparency is there, when the top most person of the company is also transparent about his own job, and people can see, okay, this is the person who is at the top of the company and working, and is also working with us as a member of the team, and with that is something which we also should do. So that transparency, that trust, that that hard work is something which will lead you to build a culture of the company. Feedback loops, as I shared that, uh, there should be proper channels, proper ways, proper type communication, which routes, communication routes should be there so that you can get the feedback from everyone in the company about different things happening in the company, not just about the type of job and all, but you can take different feedbacks from different departments. You can even take feedback from a design department about the code department, that whether the do you think there's a possibility of getting things done in a better way, and what are the operational challenges they are facing, how we can make efficiencies better. All these are feedback loops which basically should be there and will also define a culture of a company. Celebrating small wins to build morale in bootstrap phase. This is very important, that because you have small team, people working very hard. Then at that time, small wins are needed to be celebrated, so that the morale of the company, morale of the people, the small team is building up, and you are developing a culture in the whole company where everyone gets rewarded for even for the smallest victory, and everyone is taken up as a team. Everyone is part of the team, so that they have that ownership about their job and their work. The culture compounds. Early habits shape your company forever. So if you have all of these things happening in the company, all the new hires will also be following the same. And what will happen in that case, that those practices will keep on happening, will keep on creating a compounding effect on the new people joining in, and that will release a lot of uh, positive vibes about the company in the market, and that also impact the deliveries, the time schedules, the quality of work, because happy team gives the happy results. Now there's another thing, that founder agreements. Founder agreements are the things which we discussed that should be part of the black and white paper, the deal, the LLP formation, and these agreements should have a clear understanding of what will happen if somebody has to leave after 6 months. And you should discuss this before making the LLP or the formation of the company. What will happen after 2 years? Design a vesting and exit scenario that feels fair to all parties. This is very important, that it should feel fair to all parties. Now, create a 30-day action plan for with your co-founders. Okay. And what that action plan should say and do. In the week first, the first week, you should discuss with your founders and your co-founders about the motivation and long-term vision of the company. Create a document around it and make sure all of the co-founders agree to it and are aligned to those motivations, goals, and long-term vision of the company. In the second week, draft a founder agreement with equity split. So this is important, that you create a founder agreement with the details of who is going to get how much, what will be the exit guidelines, what will happen if somebody wants to exit in 6 months, or before 6 months, or after 6 months, or 1 year, or 2 year. Create brackets for that, create proper definitions for that, and make sure all of the co-founders are agreed to that. Then in the week three, and see, this is an exercise, this is only suggested week 1, week 2, week 3. This may take a number of days as well, which is okay. Idea is that you need to figure out all of these 4 activities. You need to perform these 4 things. In the week 3, you have to define first higher profile. Now you may not need to do it, but someday will come when you have to define the higher profile and develop a recruitment plan. How you're going to people if you, when you need people, you need to first define what who will be the first person you have to hire, and what role he has to play, what type of person he should be. That we have already seen. Okay, so that is something what you need to define. And then once your these all things are in place, you have a team founder agreement, and the team is now growing with early hire being in place. What you need to do is to have a weekly syncs and culture documentation is something, that people should, there should be, there can be rewards for certain tasks, there should be certain SLAs to be performed, there should be certain ways where, you're meeting team meetups are happening, uh, different things which can define the culture of that company. And the weekly syncs between the founders, okay, is very important again, so that they are in sync with how the company is performing, what we should do next, whether any decision needs to be taken care of. And see, initial founder agreement is something which, it is nowhere something that cannot be edited or made changed. So founders should always keep meeting up, keep discussing things, and jump upon the new ideas and new executions, so that, and they should not delay it, which is why it is important to have their weekly syncs, so that there is no delay in, if you see that, okay, this business is probably not going to work upon because there's new technology, we need to make a overhaul altogether. That's a complex and decision which needs to be taken quickly. So you need to take all the reasons for that, connect all the things, dots for it, and take that decision. So which is why it is important that you have a regular communication happening between you and your co-founders and within the team as well. So any questions? Now we'll see the key takeaways which we have, from this workshop, of how to find, how to take a decision on the co-founder, who will be the, how to form your team. So the first point is team composition predicts startup success more than ideas. So it's, the success is more of a team thing, not just an idea. And this is the reason why almost every startup is focused on the team first, besides the idea. The second thing is document agreements, which will save your heartbreak later. Keep everything documented, everything as a proper formation of a company, not just the word of mouth. Equity is cheap currency during bootstrap phase. Equity is cheap currency during bootstrap phase, as in, if you are bootstrapping, equity is something which is very open to, you are okay, you take 10%, I take 10%. It looks very cheap, but it's not going to be cheap ever. So, but during bootstrap phase, it is cheaper because, this is the time when you have to start. But don't make it cheaper, make it valuable by defining proper terms and conditions, and the reasons and roles to play for everyone who is a co-founder, with what equity they are coming up with. You're going to get for them for. And culture is set by the first 5 hires, not iteration 50. You need to make sure, you need to select first 3, 4, 5 people should be the people who will define what kind of culture that company will be having. So select people who are the people who can take you to the next level in terms of expansion, in terms of growth, in terms of revenue. So this is it, guys. And then there are certain resources which you should go. You can Google Y Combinator Startup School, and you can read more about team building from there. Then there is a founder institute where you can search for co-founder matching. Although uh, it's an international platform. Uh, you can also use LinkedIn for searching co-founders. You can think of because you if this is only the case where when you are looking for certain uh, non-negotiable skill sets as well in the company. Only in that case, I would recommend you to go for a co-founder. Okay. Then there are certain legal templates which can work as a legal framework for founders agreement. You can search for them. Uh, Turkey and Lopata are two websites which have some American templates. In the Indian scenario, there are certain uh, company formation websites where you can find the same LLP formats as well. So, team, any questions regarding anything what you want to ask for, any scenario where you want me to have any understanding? Any questions? Everyone, any questions? Anything you want to take suggestions?
I think there is no question, but I have an announcement to make. Student, I hope you all have received this message regarding booking the mentoring sessions, and we have shared the 6 mentors list also. You can go to the portal, and as it is mandatory to go, and it is one of the eligibility criteria as well. So make sure you'll book the session at least uh, by the January end, 6 hours each team, if that would be possible. So please go to the portal and book the session with the mentors, mentioned mentors in the group. Also, how many of you have created this? Your prototype is ready because the demo day is about around the corner. I mean, right after these completion of these workshops for the startup stage, we'll announce the dates for the submission of the your video, and similarly the way you done it earlier for the ideation stage and startup stage. So I would like to know that also. Any replenishment request or anything pending from your end, that too also please mention. Reach out to your mentors and book suggestions and take suggestion book sessions with them. Anyone having any query regarding this? Okay, I don't think so. There is any other question. Should I finish this call because we don't have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and please do know. Let me know in case we are going to have another session on the open house. So I suggest all of you to be ready with your questions, your thoughts. Anyone would require any feedback, suggestions, please be ready with that so that we can discuss this. These workshops are more of situational things, which which out of experience I can share things with you. This is not a technical stuff, so we are not going to code anything, and this is something which we need to work on the real scenarios. And I'll prepare certain case studies which will help you in understanding what can go wrong. Okay, in the coming open house workshop. Take care, guys. Take care, everyone.
Thank you to you too. Bye.